Hello friends, today's recap is going to hit you like a punch you didn't see coming. Imagine being 18, caught in the rain, sick, scared, and suddenly rescued by a stranger who feels like safety itself. That stranger is Hannah, a tough, mysterious woman living a quiet life in 1958 West Germany. One kind moment turns into a secret relationship that Michael, a teenage boy, can't escape. Because Hannah doesn't just want love, she wants one thing he can give her that nobody else ever did. Years later, Michael is a law student, sitting in a courtroom, and his entire world collapses when he sees Hannah again, not as a lover, but as a prisoner on trial for wartime crimes. And the darkest twist is this: the truth that could save her is the one secret she'll never admit. So friends, let's start. The story begins in West Germany in 1958. We meet an 18-year-old boy named Michael walking home on foot when a sudden downpour hits. The rain comes hard and cold, and Michael already feels sick. He stops under the entrance of an apartment building. But his nausea worsens and he throws up right there, shaking and embarrassed. A woman named Hannah lives in that building. She notices him immediately, rushes over, and helps him clean himself up. Michael, overwhelmed and ashamed, starts crying. Hannah doesn't mock him or scold him. Instead, she gently pulls him into a hug, calming him down the way an adult comforts a frightened child. Then she helps him get home safely. Later, Michael is eating lunch with his family, but his condition worries his father, who calls a doctor. After examining him, the doctor says Michael has scarlet fever and must rest at home for the next several months. Michael's life pauses. He stays inside, recovers slowly, and the months crawl by. When Michael finally gets better, he tells his mother about the day he got sick in the rain and how a woman helped him. His mother says the obvious: he should thank her. So Michael buys flowers and goes back to Hannah's apartment building. Hannah opens the door and asks how he is feeling now. Michael tells her he's healthy again, gives her the flowers, and thanks her sincerely. He starts to leave, but Hannah says she's heading to work soon and tells him to wait inside for a moment while she gets ready. She suggests they can walk out together. While Hannah is changing clothes in another room, Michael looks without thinking. It is a quick, awkward moment, but Hannah notices. Michael panics from embarrassment and runs out of the apartment. The next day, Michael sees Hannah working as a bus conductor, handing out tickets. The sight of her makes him feel guilty, and he decides to apologize properly. He goes to her place again. Hannah returns from work and speaks to him calmly, but she gives him a task first. She tells him to carry a bucket of coal up from downstairs. Michael does it, but by the time he comes back, coal dust has smeared his face and clothes. Hannah notices and tells him to wash up. Michael steps into the bathroom, but Hannah stays close, helping him with his clothes, guiding him with a confidence that throws him off. Michael is young, emotional, and confused by what he is feeling. Hannah is older and self-possessed. Their closeness crosses a line, and they begin a private relationship that Michael does not know how to name, but he cannot stop returning to. That night, Michael comes home late and sits at dinner with his family. His father asks where he has been. Michael lies and says he got lost on the way back. From then on, Michael's routine changes. After school every day, he hurries to Hannah's apartment. He loses interest in girls his age and stops caring about the normal teenage world. Hannah becomes the center of his attention. One day, Hannah asks what Michael studies in school. Michael opens his bag, pulls out a book, and begins reading aloud. Hannah listens carefully, more engaged than Michael expects. She likes the sound of stories, the rhythm of language, the escape. Soon it becomes their ritual. Michael reads to her every day, and Hannah waits for it like someone who has been thirsty for a long time. What Michael does not understand yet is the real reason she loves this routine. Hannah cannot read or write. She keeps that secret locked inside her with shame and fear. She never says it out loud, never admits it, never allows anyone to see it. One day, Michael rides the bus where Hannah is working. Hannah sees him and becomes angry. She does not want anyone to connect them in public. Michael feels hurt and confused. When he visits her later, he asks why she ignored him. Hannah tells him they cannot act close in front of others. Michael argues, and the tension turns into a fight. But Michael quickly regrets it, apologizes, and Hannah forgives him. Their pattern becomes clear: intensity, conflict, apology, closeness again. A little later, Michael suggests a cycling trip. Hannah agrees. Michael sells his stamp collection to get money so they can eat well and enjoy the trip. They spend 2 days cycling through beautiful countryside, stopping for meals, resting in small towns, sharing a rare feeling of freedom. During the trip, they visit a church. Inside, Hannah suddenly becomes quiet and sad. Michael does not understand why. He tries to comfort her, but Hannah cannot explain what she is feeling. Something about the place, the silence, the weight of history, stirs something painful in her. Michael senses the shift and becomes uneasy, but they continue the trip and eventually return home. Back in town, Michael's classmates notice changes in him. A girl at school likes him, but Michael ignores her. He is emotionally tied to Hannah, and nothing else feels real. Then Hannah receives news at work. She has been offered a promotion, but it requires her to move to another city and work in an office. Instead of celebrating, Hannah looks frightened. An office job would expose her illiteracy. Forms, files, written instructions, signatures. She cannot do it, and she cannot admit why. The promotion becomes a threat, not an opportunity. Around this time, Michael's friends plan a birthday party for him, but Michael skips it and goes to Hannah instead. Hannah is already tense and upset about her future. They argue again, and again Michael apologizes. They end the day together, clinging to the relationship like it is the only stable thing in either of their lives. The next morning, Michael comes to Hannah's apartment and finds it empty. The furniture is gone. The rooms have been cleared. Hannah has disappeared without warning. Michael stands there stunned, as if the world has shifted under his feet. He understands immediately that she left him behind on purpose. His heart breaks, and he is left alone with memories he cannot explain to anyone. Years pass. The story jumps to 1966. Michael is now a law student in Heidelberg. He always wanted to become a lawyer, and now he is studying hard, living in a dorm, building an adult life. But Hannah has never fully left his mind. Her absence shaped him. One day, Michael's professor takes a group of students to court to observe real trials. They sit in the courtroom watching, listening, taking notes. Then Michael hears a name that freezes his blood. Hannah. Michael turns and sees her. She looks different, older, hardened, and she is standing as a defendant in a major criminal case. Michael cannot understand why she is there. His mind searches for an explanation that does not exist. The trial reveals the truth piece by piece. During World War II, Nazi Germany ran concentration camps. Prisoners, including Jewish women and children, were kept under brutal conditions. Female guards were used in some camps, and Hannah was one of them. She served as a supervisor. She is now accused alongside other former guards of a horrifying crime: that they locked hundreds of prisoners inside a church during an evacuation and allowed the building to burn, killing around 300 women and children. The accusation is that they could have opened the doors and saved lives, but they did not. Michael feels sick. He remembers Hannah as a person who once helped him when he was weak. Now he is forced to see her through history's darkest lens. The judge questions Hannah about how she joined the SS. Hannah answers plainly that she heard they were hiring women, and she applied. Her words sound simple, almost empty, but the room is full of judgment. The trial continues over days. A survivor named Ilana testifies. She and her mother survived the church fire, and she is the one bringing the case. Ilana describes the guards, the orders, the panic, and the locked doors. The other female defendants begin turning on Hannah, pushing blame onto her. They want to reduce their own punishment by making Hannah the main culprit. Hannah insists she is not the only one responsible. But the court introduces a written report about the incident. The judge says the report was written by Hannah and shows her a book connected to the testimony. Hannah denies writing it. She says all the women wrote it together. The judge points out that the report includes Hannah's signature. Hannah claims the signature is fake. Then the judge makes a simple request. Hannah should write her signature in court so handwriting experts can compare it. Hannah stiffens. She hesitates. She panics internally. She does not know how to write. She cannot produce a signature, and she cannot admit that. In that moment, Michael understands everything. Hannah is illiterate. That is why she loved being read to. That is why she avoided office work. That is why she vanished when the promotion threatened to expose her. And now, in court, her shame is about to become public. Instead of revealing the truth, Hannah chooses something else. She chooses to protect her secret at any cost, even if it means taking heavier blame. The judge asks why the prisoners were not saved. Hannah answers in a way that terrifies Michael. She says they followed orders. She says if they let prisoners out, they could escape. In her mind, the rules mattered more than the lives trapped inside. Or perhaps she is repeating the logic she used to survive that environment. Either way, her words bury her. After one court day, Michael goes to the prison, intending to visit Hannah. He walks through the halls and sees her waiting, as if she expects someone. Hannah does not know Michael is there. Michael stands there, watching, but he cannot step forward. He feels cowardly, angry, ashamed, and confused. He leaves without speaking to her. The verdict comes. Hannah receives a life sentence. The other women receive shorter sentences. Michael hears the ruling and begins to cry quietly, not because Hannah is innocent, but because he understands the full tragedy. Hannah is guilty of terrible choices, but she is also a person shaped by shame, fear, and silence. And Michael himself is tangled in her story in a way he cannot untie. Years move forward again. Michael graduates, becomes a successful lawyer, and builds a normal adult life on the outside. He marries, has a daughter, and tries to live as if the past is behind him. But his marriage fails and ends in divorce. He becomes distant from his daughter, seeing her only sometimes. The emotional damage stays inside him like an old scar that never fully heals. Hannah, meanwhile, grows old in prison. Her hair turns white. Her face ages and hardens. She becomes a quiet figure in a system that keeps time without mercy. Even after decades, Michael cannot let her go. One day he begins recording himself reading books aloud on tape. He sends the tapes to Hannah in prison. Hannah receives a tape recorder and cassette, confused at first. Then she presses play and hears Michael's voice. The sound hits her deeply. She becomes emotional, almost shocked by the intimacy of a voice from her past returning after so many years. Michael continues sending tapes. Hannah listens again and again. Slowly she begins teaching herself to read and write using prison library books and Michael's recordings as guidance. She starts writing letters to Michael, waiting for replies. Michael never writes back. He never visits. He keeps distance, but he keeps feeding her the one thing she always wanted, stories spoken aloud. One day the prison warden calls Michael. Hannah has been in prison for more than 20 years and has been granted release on parole. The warden explains that Hannah has no family and no home. The only person she has been writing to is Michael. So the prison needs help arranging her reintegration. A place to live, some kind of work, basic support. Michael agrees. He finds an apartment. He searches for a job for her. He prepares everything like a man handling a duty rather than a reunion. Then Michael visits Hannah for the first time in many years. Hannah is thrilled. She looks at him with a mixture of gratitude and longing. Michael tells her about the apartment and the job. Hannah asks if he married. He says yes, and he has a daughter, but the marriage ended in divorce. Hannah senses his distance and does not like it. She wants closeness, wants emotional honesty, wants the past to be acknowledged. But Michael cannot give her that. He tells her he will return in a week, on the day she is released, and take her out. After Michael leaves, Hannah sits alone with the weight of her life. She looks back on what she did, what she hid, what she became, and what she lost. Shame that once controlled her now becomes unbearable. Before the release day arrives, Hannah takes her own life in prison. A week later, Michael arrives to pick her up. The warden tells him Hannah died on the very day Michael visited her. Michael is stunned. He goes to Hannah's cell and finds a note and a small box containing money, Hannah's personal savings. In the note, Hannah writes that the money should be given to Alana, the survivor who testified against her. Michael breaks down crying. Grief floods him in a way he did not expect. Michael goes to Alana and finally tells her the truth about his past relationship with Hannah. Ilana listens, shocked and uncomfortable. When Michael offers the box of money, Ilana refuses to take it. Michael then suggests donating it to a Jewish organization that teaches adults to read and write, so the money becomes something that helps rather than harms. Ilana agrees to that idea. The story jumps again to 1995. Michael meets his daughter, now older, and takes her to a church. It is the same church he once visited with Hannah during their cycling trip long ago. He shows his daughter Hannah's grave. For the first time, he tells her everything, not as a confession for sympathy, but as a truth he can no longer carry alone. The movie ends with that quiet honesty. A story about love that began in youth, a secret that shaped choices, the weight of history, and how education, shame, and silence can alter an entire life.